Greetings on a Wednesday evening, and you are joining with Business Today on ChannelEye this Wednesday evening. Great to have you and great to be with you to bring you business and also speak about business and speak about entrepreneurship. So if you have been an avid follower of this program, you probably know what we do. We bring inspiring individuals in the corporate and also in the business landscape in Sri Lanka, and we inspire you. That's exactly what we do. So stay tuned with us for the next 30 minutes to get inspired on Business Today. When it comes to business personalities, we bring various types of business personalities, those who have studied or those who are studying or those who are exceptionally good at it. They have been hired by different companies out there in Sri Lanka. So today also we have a guest like that. Today's guest is actually a perfect example for you to think if you're thinking about work-life balance and also thinking about success in both sports, extracurricular, and also in academics and also entrepreneurship and also having that mindset inside you. This is a perfect example. So we are going to now reveal who our guest is for today.
Mr. Sanjaya Fernando is the Group CFO of Eastern Brothers Exports Private Limited. He leads the overall finance function of the group. He is responsible for driving the group's financial and investment strategy, planning and analysis, treasury, financial reporting, and controls and information technology. The group has 3 subsidiaries in Sri Lanka, 2 in India, several partnerships, dealerships, and operations in 57 countries. He was formerly an executive director at Amethyst Resorts, Pasikuda, and an alternate director of the first utility-scale solar power project of Sri Lanka. In his corporate career spanning over 20 years, Sanjay has gathered expertise in the fields of investment banking, business development, operations management, finance, treasury management, risk management, internal control, and auditing. He is a Master of Financial Economics from the University of Colombo, Associate Member of the CIMA UK, a Chartered Global Management Accountant, and is certified in Treasury Management and Foreign Exchange Operations by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. In addition to his corporate career, Sanjay is also the National Triathlon and Duathlon Coach of Sri Lanka and formerly National Women's Water Polo Coach. Under his guidance, Sri Lanka won the first gold medal in triathlon and duathlons at the South Asian Games in 2019 and the first medal in women's water polo in 2009. Sanjay was also a national athlete and represented the country in water polo from 2000 to 2005. He also participated at the Singapore International Triathlon in 2018 and won the 12th place. He is the first and only World Triathlon Level 2 certified coach in Sri Lanka. Holds a diploma in water polo from Hong Kong, certified in First Aid, CPR, and AED USA, and a certified sports administrator of the International Olympic Committee.
If a profile like that would not excite you as a corporate personality in the industry or someone who is studying and who wants to be inspired by personalities like that, I don't know what really will. This personality is actually someone who has excelled not just in business, not just in entrepreneurship, but also in many aspects in life. To the point sometimes when you call him, he is actually not in Colombo. He's somewhere in Galle or somewhere near a coastline on his bike riding a foot cycle just like that, because that's how you maintain work-life balance, and that personality is right here sitting next to me, and we are privileged to have you on board.
Thank you very much, and first of all, good evening to everyone, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. The pleasure is ours, definitely, because when you look at the profile, you think, wow, personalities like this exist in Sri Lanka, and we are also not just a sportsman, but also like a Group CFO in the financial sector, and also working for a great company in Sri Lanka, which is the Eastern Brothers Exports Private Limited. So how has it been for you? Let's talk about that. How has it been for you to create the person that you are today throughout the journey?
Firstly, it's nice of you to say that. I'm just an ordinary human being. And talking about Eastern Brothers, so Eastern Brothers was established in 1963 by late Mr. VTV Devanayagam Pillai. And then down the line, 30 years later, his son, who is the father of our current chairman, Mr. Ganesh Devanayagam, and Vice Chairman, Mr. Subramaniam Easwaran, Mr. Ishwaran decided, okay, we need to get into value-added teas,
Right.
and started that business. So value-added teas business has been growing since, and it has grown to be the third largest value-added tea exporter in the country at the moment. So that's where we are. In addition to that, we also do printing and designing of tea tags, labels, and tea envelopes. So this is the business that we do in Sri Lanka.
Right.
And in India also we have a similar venture.
Right.
And on top of that, now we are venturing into a different line where promoting artisanal tea tourism. So we are doing that
That's a new
project.
thing in Sri
That's a
Lanka.
new thing. And we are doing it in Alla. So that will come into light within the next year or so.
Wow, okay. So I think this will definitely add some value to uplifting Sri Lanka's economy. So in terms of that, Ishwaran Brothers, how has it, what does it do? What does the company do in terms of directly infusing its energy into the Sri Lanka's backbone, the economy?
So when it comes to tea, tea comes after the garments and textiles. So that contributes about 17 to 18% to the economy. And we are actually contributing a part of it in a very small scale, I would say.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. I mean, it's the dollar income that we bring in a day in and out.
What about
with the hard work of our
employees?
people. Yeah.
Okay, so like when it comes to plantation industry and especially tea in Sri Lanka, how do you function? Like which areas do you cover in the hill country? Like how does that happen in terms of manufacturing and operations?
Yeah, so when it comes to procuring tea, what we do is we procure tea straight off the auctions.
Right.
So we don't own any plantation. We procure through the auctions, and if it is required to be imported also,
Right.
based on the customer requirement, because we do a lot of private labeling,
Okay.
and then we import and do that, cover that requirement as well. So it's all to do with customer requirement and the end consumers need.
So you basically have identified proper customers, and from not just within Sri Lanka but also abroad, and then you have implemented, sort of created a complete chain of work, starting from the producer and from all the way to the delivery. That's how it works.
Yes, it's end to end.
Right. So when you talk about the trends in Sri Lanka, now when it comes to tea industry, this is like one of the biggest products that we export out of the country. But like with the recent developments when it comes to the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, tea sellers, any exports have been sort of struggling to produce their crop and then to sometimes to even find their buyers. How did Ishwaran Brothers tackle the situation?
So when it comes to the tea industry as a whole, the demand didn't drop because of the pandemic. Tea is something that you will consume anyway. But when it comes to the pandemic, the major challenge that all the industries faced, I would say, was the freight related issue. So freight delayed all the input as well as delivering it to the end consumer on time. So those delays actually hit everyone, but we were managing it by talking to our customers and trying to
Overcome it.
yeah.
Okay. Right. So in terms of that, now as an advice, because you are a group CFO, and I don't know who else could manage finance like you can in any organization, I would say. So managing finance in any business, what kind of advice do you want to give, especially to the newcomers, because they tend to go with the flow sometimes, and then sometimes end up in like bankruptcy or in any critical situation sometimes. So what would be the perfect way to manage their finance? I know this is like a broad topic, but then again, like if you put it in simple terms, from your point of view, because you have been in industry, what kind of advice do you want to give to the newcomers? Because there are so many new businesses that are venturing at the moment in Sri Lanka. There are new investments happening in the country, but they all want to they all require some sort of input in terms of knowledge. So with your knowledge, how should they manage them very delicately?
So learning is key when it comes to any profession. Right, you will be a CFO, CEO, or a CMO, or a normal, executive, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the level, it's a task. So you need to first understand what you're going to do, what the industry is, and what the industry is demanding.
Right.
And then once you understand that, you need to have a clear determination and motivation towards what you're doing.
Right.
Otherwise, what will happen is you will always think whether what you're doing is correct or you should do it another way. You will be always confused. So what you need to do is you need to have a drive towards it and just stick to what you're doing along with the ongoing learning. That's what I think.
So you must always learn from the not from the mistakes, but make sure that you don't make mistakes by learning them preemptively.
Correct.
Okay. So in terms of your role as the group CFO, what is your role? How do you contribute to the success of the Eastwood Brothers company?
So my role is actually driving the financial as well as investment strategy of the company, and overlooking the entire finance operation of the group.
Okay, and so this involves not just within Sri Lanka but also abroad at the same time. So what are the countries that you are managing at the moment?
So countries involve mainly Sri Lanka and India, and we have partnerships and dealerships that's ongoing at UK, USA, Australia, Japan, and so many other countries, 57 countries in total. So it's a in and out job, it's a round the clock job rather.
It's around the clock because you're working with different time zones.
Yes.
Is that one of the reasons? Okay. Right. So in terms of creating, now you have created a personality that is diverse basically, but like if you stick onto this one side of being a financial specialist, what kind of attributions have you included in yourself? Like what kind of qualifications or what kind of skill sets have you acquired? Because that could be used as example for the ones who are out there who are looking at you as a role model.
So negotiation skills is one of the key things as a CFO. And when it comes to people management, that also comes in handy definitely if you have that. And you need to understand the problem throughout in order to give a proper solution at the correct time. So timely attending to a problem as well as solving it will determine the entire course of the finance direction of the company.
Right, so making sure that timeliness is met always, and being punctual is one of the keys. So people also speak about when it comes to creating, maybe educating themselves is also one of the ways, and also experience. So if you take your life or anyone's life out there who is successful, what's the balance you see between the education and experience in terms of making yourself successful as an entrepreneur or a corporate personality?
So education and experience actually go hand in hand, as you said, and it comes in handy when it comes to the practical application of what you learned, right? So
so it's always about balancing the two.
Yes,
but also
balancing the two, and people around you plays a big part in my life. I mean, from my wife to my daughter to everyone around me, along with the personalities at my office, keeps me going day in and out, and gives that input that I need to balance that educational knowledge I got with the experience that I'm gaining here.
Okay, then what about the work-life balance? You mentioned about your family, right? And you mentioned about the work and the people who are surrounding you at workplace. The work-life balance is something that we are dying to balance it. But people talk about work-life balance, but then again, it's to manage that is something else. How do you do that? Because you have done it and you have got even accoladed for that. So how did you do that?
No, so it's challenging, and I also fail day in and out. So I try to balance it as much as possible. And people around me, as I said, they try to understand me. I think while I try to understand them also. So it's an ongoing thing, and that ongoing challenge that you have keeps you going as well.
Okay. So the challenges there are maybe activities in terms of the challenges, right? So the other side of your personality is something very active, because you are a coach in triathlon, also duathlon, also water polo at the same time, and you have even won competitions in terms of Sri Lanka and also abroad. Now, the big question is, how do you do that? Because like you're a CFO at the same time, a group CFO. It's not a small task, like a big task, big responsibility. How do you manage the two?
So it's like when you get into a task, you concentrate only on that task. So you give your 100% or more to that particular task. And if you think, okay, you're a group CFO, you're a triathlon coach, and put all these things together, you will be a complete mess, right? So what you do is you just focus on what you're doing at that time, whatever it is.
Okay. So determination is one of the keys, I would suppose. So by any chance, has your career in triathlonship or maybe in water polo, the sort of qualities you have gathered from that arena, has that helped you become the person you are in the corporate landscape?
Definitely. So people management skills as well as leadership skills, and then how to understand a different person, individuals, how to work as a team, and how to get a task completed as a team. All these things will come through not only from sport, but sport definitely helps that. And in my life, that has helped in a big way, I would say.
So, okay, when did this happen? I mean, did you become a CFO first, or did you become a sportsman first? What happened? How did it happen? I mean, we want the story.
I think I became a sportsman first.
First?
Yeah, because CFO story is like straight after school, right? So, sportsman was probably at the age of 4 onwards when my father taught me the initial swim lesson.
So that's how it's all started, and now you managed to keep both the passion on your life, and also about the corporate and the corporate life also in hand in hand. So let us know, for the youngsters out there, there are people just like you mentioned that you became a sportsman from the youngest age, and there are students out there who are, I mean, this is the problem that everybody has when they are at the younger stage. They try to balance the two, whether they want to do sports or they want to do academics. Sometimes people choose one, but you chose two. So what's the advice you want to give to the younger generations?
So you can actually decide what you're going to do. In my case, what I decided to do is, as you said, in order to keep me going, I decided, okay, I need to keep myself occupied with something. So then what happened was, I started focusing on sport even after school, and what I would tell the younger generation is, you need to have that motivation, drive, and then the continuous learning. You need to like that. You need to first love that entire scope,
like create a passion out of it.
Exactly. And then the determination, commitment, and the consistency will only get you there, and it's you who will get you there, not anyone else. You can have coaches, you can have mentors, you can have advisors, you can watch YouTube videos, whatever, but if you don't have the drive, you are never going to get there.
So you must have the drive, and then you make sure that you want it at one point, and then imagine yourself in the future as a successful person, right? So about success, now you are an employee at the Eastwood Brothers company, and you mentioned that during the pandemic also there were certain phases that the company had to go through. So what's the current stance in the company, and what's in the future for Eastwood Brothers?
So Eastwood Brothers, as a group and as a company, as I said, one venture that we are doing currently is trying to promote artisanal tea tourism. And in addition to that, once the exchange regulation or the controls relaxes, we are planning to look at few foreign investments, which will increase the dollar revenue that we can bring into the country, and promote our business also, and grow as a business. And in addition to that, we are moving towards automation. Continuously, and we are investing in machinery a lot, as well as in our brands. And we have patented brands of our own, and we are continuously into innovation and product development.
Right.
Because being a value-added tea company, you need to do continuous development as well as innovation.
So do you produce different types of products for the Sri Lankan market and also for different products for the outside of Sri Lanka, like markets in outside Sri Lanka?
So Sri Lanka, what we do is about less than 1%, I would say.
Right.
It's merely to do with exports.
Right.
So we do, our biggest market is Africa, and in addition to that, the Middle East, and then USA, UK, and all these 57 countries. That's
The ones you mentioned.
Yeah,
Okay.
catering to.
So that's the main market that you have.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the Eastern Brothers. What about you? What's for you in the future? I mean, you're already a successful person when it comes to in both arms, sports, and also when it comes to corporate. What's in the future for you? What would you want to be?
That's an interesting question. I don't consider myself as a successful person still, and I clearly think that I just started the journey, and it's like I started swimming today, and then I don't know what lies there. I will just grab the opportunity and see whether that will work for me, and if that works for me, I will go in that direction, and it might be a success or it might be a failure. I failed many times, and continuous failing only has brought me to what I am today, even though I am not a success story still. I think I have a long way to go, and it's just started.
Well, we think you are a success story, and that's exactly why we are on Business Today with us today. And well, we would like to thank you once again for coming in today, because we are going to wind up the program, and we are thankful that you came today, because we understand that you are an extremely busy personality. You're involved in yourself and also in the growth of your company at the same time. So thank you so much for joining in today with us on Business Today.
Thanks a lot, Varuna. Thanks for inviting me again.
Right. So on today's program, we had Mr. Sanjaya Fernando, Group Chief Financial Officer of Eastern Brothers Exports, joining with us today for an extensive discussion on exports and also in terms of tea industry as well as corporate and also sportsmanship all in one. We'll be coming back next week with a similar discussion with much more insightful topics. Have a good night.